Hey everybody, before the video begins, I just want to say thank you for being here, but I also want to mention one other thing. This was the first time where I went out in public and filmed a video like this before, where I'm walking and I'm talking and there are other people around, and honestly, I was pretty nervous during the entire thing. I went down early because I don't think there were going to be that many people when I went early, and there really weren't, but still there were people around and they were looking at me. So it was what it was. I shot the whole video in one shot, so it's pretty raw that way, so I hope it comes off feeling as real as it felt to me as I was doing it. Anyway, I just want to say thank you for you to being open to this, and I really appreciate again you being here, and I hope you enjoyed the video. All right, take care. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Wayfarer Ways. Today we are in San Francisco, and we are in the Haight-Ashbury district. I'm going to make a little video for you guys about my life here. I lived here from 2005 to 2012, and it was a great time to live here, but it was also a pretty dark time for me. So this video is actually going to be about my alcoholism and my beginning of sobriety that occurred after this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you on a little tour of this little spot that I used to live in. I'm right now looking at the Haight-Ashbury corner, which I'm going to show to you guys in a minute, but I'm going to show you this apartment that I used to live in first. It was the beginning of my Haight-Ashbury journey. I moved here in 2005. I believe it was June 2005 into this apartment. And we're going to walk across there to see what that apartment is. And from there, we're going to go to the next apartment that I lived on Haight-Ashbury also. So here it is. I lived there with 5 other people. It was an apartment that consisted of 3 girls and 3 guys. And it was a good time. I really definitely had a good time there. But my drinking did not start here. My drinking started way back in the day that progressively got worse and worse. And this apartment is where it really started to take off. I lived here for about 3 years, and I really quite enjoyed living here. It was a really good spot to live. Had a lot of good times with good people here, but my issues that led to my alcoholism just got worse and worse. And it became something that became more of a burden on me, and it just shadowed and overcrowded every single thing that I did. And it started becoming dark. And when you leave that apartment, you come down here, you come to the corner of Haight-Ashbury, the legendary Haight-Ashbury of San Francisco. If you guys don't know what Haight-Ashbury is, it is a place that was the beginning of the counterculture in the 1960s. This is where tie-dye came from, and bell-bottoms, and the music of the Grateful Dead, and Jefferson Airplane, and Janis Joplin. And I came down here early enough today so that I don't have to deal with all the crowds that happen later. As I said, I lived here for 7 years, so I know that the neighborhood doesn't wake up till mid to late morning. So I figure I come down here. It's about 7 a.m. right now, and I come down here and make this video for you guys. So there's a Haight-Ashbury sign right there. That sunset, which is nice. So that was my first apartment that I lived in. But then this was my last apartment that I lived in, just right across the street over here. I lived there with people who were older than me. They were from the different generations than I was, much older than me, actually. Well, one roommate was not that much older, but he was definitely older than me. And another roommate who was very much older than me. And by this point, I moved into this apartment in 2011, and my drinking had just gotten steadily worse over the years. And it just started to affect every single thing in my life. Everything. There was nothing in my life that wasn't affected by alcohol. Nothing. Everything was. Everything was. It was this apartment right here that I used to live in. That left door. It's nice Victorian.
Wow.
So yeah, by this point, alcohol was just overtaking everything in my life, and I was just in complete misery. I was in complete abject horror and terror of what my life had become. And I knew that it was just getting worse and worse. And I knew that if something didn't change, that it was going to lead to a place that I probably thought I'd never get to before. And over the years, as I've been drinking, I knew that, well, I know it's bad, but at least I'm not that guy. And then I would become that guy. And I'd be like, oh, well, I know it's not that bad. And then I become that guy. Until eventually, I became that guy that I thought I never would become. Because after I got kicked out of this apartment here, I ended up being homeless. And that is part of my sobriety story, is that I became homeless. And the first couple of months, I was hanging out with a friend of mine down in Clayton and Waller and staying in his garage for a little while. But then I overstayed my welcome, basically. And I ended up having to leave that place and having to, well, how do I explain this? Let me turn the camera around. When I lived here, I knew a lot of people on the street. There were a lot of people I knew on the street because I was always out and about. And I even got to know some of the homeless people that are here because we have a good amount of homelessness in San Francisco. And I got to know the homeless people here also. The street kids, things like that. So I knew where they hung out. So after I was unwelcomed from that garage, I decided to go down to where these people were and to start hanging out with them, which basically meant that I was now homeless in San Francisco. And I'm going to take you down to that corner where I first saw them and where I told them basically, well, it looks like I'm going to be hanging out with you guys now. And that's where the story of my really being homeless and sleeping out on the street started. So I'm going to turn the camera around so you can see that, okay? We're just going to take a little walk up the street here. This used to be my old neighborhood, so I feel very comfortable here. And I used to walk these streets so much. Even before I was homeless, I'd just be walking up and down the streets, going to see people, doing things here, doing things there. And this was my home for 7 years.
Wow.
So by this point, I've been a full-time alcoholic for a long time. I just didn't know that there was help out there. Everybody that I knew was either in the party scene, so therefore there was nobody really talking about getting help or anything like that. Yeah, we would joke about being alcoholic, but it was just joking around. But I knew that my relationship with alcohol was pretty different than what it was with the other people that I knew. They seemed to be functioning in life, and they were. And I don't know. I'm not looking to judge them. I don't know what their deal is, but all I know is that it seemed like my alcoholism was bad, and it was affecting everything. So what happened was I came down here to this corner, which is Haight and Masonic, and I came down here to this spot here, and this is where they used to all hang out, the homeless people that I knew from this neighborhood. And I would sit up against this wall with these people for hours on end every single day and just kind of figure out what we're going to do with our day, how we're going to get some more drink. Because the number one thing was trying to figure out how you're going to get more alcohol. So this is where we used to be. And this is where my days of sleeping on the streets really began, was right here. So these were my days of sleeping on the streets, what I was doing in my day. But let me show you where I used to actually sleep on the streets, which was down here. So this is the corner of Haight Masonic and we're at. And down here is this church. And I used to sleep next to this church down here.
Fully.
Had a little spot. So when I was out here, I had a buddy named AJ. And AJ was my closest buddy out here. And we used to just kind of hang out and do everything together. Everything. And you know, before I left to go to rehab, I didn't have a chance to even say goodbye to him, unfortunately, because once I had an intervention, I had to move quickly to get what little things I had together and get on a plane to go to Southern California, which is a story I could tell you about another time. So AJ, if you're watching this video, just know that sorry I wasn't able to say goodbye to you, and that's maybe one day we'll meet again. I would like to have a cup of coffee with you. So this is where AJ and I used to sleep, was here. I used to sleep up right there against that tree, lying this way. AJ used to sleep up against that tree over there. And there was a guy that was hanging out named Dave. He used to sleep up against that tree. And there was a girl over here. He's just sleeping in that little cove there. And we had actually some fun times here. Being on the streets is interesting, and that's the story for another time. There are really good fun times there, but there's also some really dark stuff also. And I just continued drinking here. That's what we did. And then, during the day, we used to hang out in the Panhandle, which is down here. So there is the world famous Golden Gate Park, right? And Golden Gate Park is an absolutely stunningly beautiful park that you should visit if you go to San Francisco. There are certain things you do in this city that you can't miss when you come here, such as going to the Golden Gate Bridge, you know, seeing Alcatraz. And the Golden Gate Bridge is definitely one of them. Golden Gate Park is definitely one of them. And off of Golden Gate Park, there's a little thing called the Panhandle, which is this little thin strip of park. And that's where we're going to go right now. It's about 7:30 in the morning, so traffic's starting to pick up. People are coming to work. We're going to go left here. We're going to loop back around to where Ashbury is. And from Ashbury, we're going to cut across into the park, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So as the days rolled by, as I was out here in the streets in 2012, well, I don't know why, but I never really thought about asking for help. And as I said before, I knew things were getting worse and worse and worse and worse. I just didn't really think about asking for help, which is silly when I think about it, though, because I knew people that could help me out, but I just didn't really think about doing it. I just kind of resigned myself in a way that this is what my life was at, and I had to figure it out for myself. And crazy enough, I had plans. I really did have plans to try to get out of the streets, but the thing was is that my plans were always hindered because of my drinking. My drinking just ruined everything. And the crazy thing about drinking is that you get in this vicious cycle. you get in this vicious cycle of, well, I really messed up yesterday because of my drinking, and I don't want to think about it. I don't want to deal with it, so I'm going to drink some more to forget about it. And then that day, you do something else that's stupid, or you say something that's stupid, and then the day after that, you think, well, I'm just going to I'm going to go out drinking again so I can forget about that incident now. And you get caught in this cycle. And that is how alcoholism and drug addiction can be. You just get caught in cycles. All right, you're crossing. That spiral of death. That's what it is. Eventually becomes a spiral of death. So, this is the park, the Panhandle. It's a nice place. Once again, it's another place that I have really good memories of and some pretty dark memories of. And that's pretty much my experience of the Haight-Ashbury also. If I'm being truthful, is that I have really great memories of this place. It's a place that really is the kind of place that speaks to my kind of spirit that I have. But man, did I have some dark times here. Some dark days, dark moments, dark thoughts. It got rough here. Obviously, I ended up homeless on the streets here. So in the morning, we used to wake up and come down here in that corner of Haight-Masonic that I showed you at. We used to hang out there, but we more hung out here. Right here at this basketball court. And those benches that are right over there. Where, ironically, a homeless guy is sleeping right now. So we used to hang out here and play basketball and just do whatever. There were some tables there that had chessboards ingrained into the table. And we used to sit there and I actually started learning how to play chess out here. I'm not good at it, but I'm not good at all. I kind of forgot about it. But back in those days, I could play a little bit. But yeah, this is where we used to be. And now, I'm going to take you back up to the Haight, and I'm going to show you the corner of Haight and Cole, where I had my last drink ever. Which is almost 13 years ago now. And let's go up there and I'll show you what's happening there. One other issue that I had with my life at that time was I just really didn't like who I was as a person either. Which is weird because I know I have a lot of really good qualities, but it seemed like the continuous years of drinking made that part of my mind that knew that shut off. Or it gets suppressed. And that dark side of the mind that we kind of all have that talks badly about ourselves, that part of the mind just kept winning over the good rational side of my mind. And of course, what does that do? It leads to more drinking. More drinking, more burying, more suppressing of emotions. And it also, of course, suppresses our ability to even try and do anything that is positive for our lives. Alcohol is a real killer, man. Not just, man, in everything, really. It's a real killer in your spirit. It's a really killer in your wallet. It's a really killer in your relationships. And after I got sober, all that changed. My monetary situation changed. My relationships changed. I started liking myself. I actually started loving myself. Can I go? Yes, I can go. This is a one-way street, so I can go. It's called Oak Street. So let's go. Actually, let's go over here. It's funny walking around here because I have so many memories of this place. And I've been back here numerous times since I've gotten sober. I have family and friends here in San Francisco, so I come to visit. And so I've been back numerous times, and whenever I come here, it's just a trip down memory lane, that's for sure. But now that I'm making this video for you, I'm seeing it a little bit differently. Like I used to have a friend who used to live right here. And as I'm making this video for you guys, I'm gathering my thoughts in a different way too than I usually would. It's a beautiful morning, so that's nice. I'm enjoying the fact that it's a beautiful morning. Beautiful morning in the Haight. So here's Cole Street. And if you guys are interested, look up Haight-Ashbury District, San Francisco. Look up the history of the place because there's a lot of history here of many known names that you will recognize in the history of America of the 20th century. And I say that because right here on Cole Street, up the road, is where Charles Manson lived back in, I think, 1967. So you have a little bit of that dark history like that, but then you have also that beautiful history, like up the road on Ashbury. Like basically Ashbury, a Waller area. There's the Grateful Dead house, which is a place that people always come to go visit. People love visiting that place.
Oye, pero está que
Didn't me. Orly.
This is Page Street. One block up, we hit Haight Street. So why am I telling you guys this story? Well, this is a big part of my life, of who I was at the time. And this is where my drinking career ended and where my sobriety started. Because it was here that I decided to get help when I had an intervention put upon me by family and friends. And this was a big turning point in my life. And every time I come down here, I think about my journey that I had with everything. And I know there are people out there who are not doing well with alcohol or drugs or many other things that you could be addicted to, or things that can be causing havoc in your life. And so I want to let you know that there are ways out of it. I got out of it, my life changed, and I'm hoping that maybe that this video and this channel can help people find the freedom that they want from the things that are maybe holding them back in whatever capacity. So right there is Frank's. And right there is where I had my last drink on that corner. It was Taka vodka. Cheap vodka. I mean, cheap. $2 a bottle. Gut rot. Just, oh my God, it was like acid going down your throat. But that's where I had my very last drink before I went to my friend's house to spend the night, because he was kind enough to let me get off the streets for a little while and get me some food and sleep on the couch, sleep indoors. And then the next morning, he set up an intervention for me. So right here on this corner is where I had my last drink. That was on the afternoon of November 29th, 2012. Here at Frank's Liquors, ironically. So if you guys are suffering out there, you need help, and please reach out to people who can help you. It's never too late, really. And if you're just watching this video for entertainment, I hope you've been entertained by this. And maybe you're watching my channel, and because you're watching my channel, you like to know a bit more of my story. And this is definitely a big part of my story, so I'm glad I was able to share it with you guys. I'm gonna turn this thing around now. And that's it. So I appreciate you guys watching this channel. I'm gonna walk this way. I got a friend down over here who is actually homeless. And he's a really good guy. I've known him for years, and he's a really good dude. But he ended up on the streets, and that's just how it rolls sometimes, you know? So therefore, I'm gonna go see if he's around, and I can have a little chat with him. Just catch up, see how he's doing. But anyway, thank you for watching the video. If you'd like to help support the channel, there are ways that you can do so down below. You can like and subscribe, and there's other ways to do it also. But in the meantime, I'll catch you up guys later on what's going on. I'm going to Cambodia soon. And that's another thing about this video too, was that I came from sleeping on the streets, being homeless, being an alcoholic, to getting my life together and being able to travel Southeast Asia and being able to go to Cambodia and see where life can take me in the long-term travel that I'm hoping to do. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. I'll see you next video, and yeah, bye-bye.